All right, so I want to talk a little bit about global versus local scope. Scope really isn't a super complicated topic, but it's good to have obviously it's good to have a good understanding of what someone means when they say, "Hey, this is in the global scope," or "This is only available locally," because it can cause errors for you. It can cause a lot of problems, but it's not super complex once you get the hang of it. So. Let's go ahead and just get started with an example here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define two variables, and I'm going to define them in the global scope. And that's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is, let's say, let's just use my name as one of the global scope variables. And then let's use my operating system as another global variable, and that is Linux. Okay, so there we have two global variables that we just defined. And the important thing to know here is these are going to be accessible anywhere in your program. Anywhere in your program, these are going to be available. These are available in the global scope. Now, what about local scope, and why does this matter? So for this, I'm going to use a function as an example to kind of create some local scope. Let's do function. Let's call this my info. It doesn't take any parameters, but what this does is this, when this gets called, console logs to the console a message that says, my name is using the my OS operating system. Okay, come down here and let's go ahead and call my info. And now when we run this program, this will print to the console what we want to see here. So node. And we see Seth is using the Linux operating system. So what this tells you is inside this function body, we have access to the global variable my name, and we have access to the global variable my operating system. But what about if in this function we declare what would be a local variable? So let's say see, my favorite snack equal popcorn. What happens when we declare a local variable? So down here, let's go ahead and console log my favorite snack, and let's see what we get here. All right, so we get an error. My favorite snack is not defined. Why does this happen? This happens because of scope. This happens because we are currently we're in the global scope trying to access a local variable, and we can't do that. We cannot access a local variable in the global scope. Although it is important to note that we can access globals in the local scope. So there's basically the very high level, simple explanation of scope as it pertains to global versus local scope and how that works.